Disco Pot, 5 questions. When did you realise that you liked computer games? I think it was, when I was very, very young. We moved when I was about 4, but before that we lived in Romford, in Essex. Yeah, born an Essex kid. And our family, our friends, their teenage son had 2600. And I can remember playing, I can't remember the name of the game, but it's the dogfight one. Where you have 2 biplanes and you have to dogfight. And it just, I thought that was the best thing ever. I'd never actually had a go. I just sat and watched it, sort of transfixed. And I think that was the very first occasion I was properly aware of video games. And you'd sort of see them around, see like cabinets, yeah, there we go. Arcade machines, like I can remember there was a cafe with an asteroid machine with is it the dial or the ball? I think it might have been the ball. I think it was on with the ball version. There's other versions, don't know. And it was that era, and there was Space Invaders cabinets and stuff like that. And they were always these sort of mysterious things that sort of stood in the corner of the room and made funny noises, and you could sort of barely see up over the top, let alone sort of get anywhere in the game, you know. But I think that was it, and then the first proper home machine I had was an Amstrad, and I think that sort of teaches you dedication when you have a tape loader, because you have to really love it to sit through the sort of the hours and the hours of tape loading, and then the amount of times it just, you go away and you come back and you realise it's sort of stopped about 2 minutes after you set it going and it says error at line whatever, and like that. So it just sort of naturally happened, I think. So that was a long time ago. That would have been sort of, I don't know, early 80s, about the 2600 era. If you could be a character from a racing game, simulation, blimey, who would it be? Simulation, so we're talking Formula 1. If I was going to be a character from any racing game, I'd be Toad from Mario Kart. But if I'd be a character from any racing game, I'd be James Hunt or Ayrton Senna. Probably James Hunt, because he was cool. Bit of a twat, if I remember rightly. Not remember rightly, but if the stories are to be believed. But it was from the sort of like the era when racing drivers were properly cool. I'm not sure James Hunt has ever been in a racing game. I don't know. I imagine he was, especially in a simulation. But that's why I'd be James Hunt. Although in reality I'd probably be someone a lot shitter. If you went back in time, which system would you take? If I went back in time, I would take. If I went back in time, I would take. I'd take. Yeah, fuck it, PS2, because it's got. It's the old Get Out. I can use the backwards compatibility, but it's got some of my favourite games on it, and it's got a nice mixture of titles. None of them stellar titles. The stellar titles are on other machines. These sort of A1 titles, the killer apps, as they say. But they're games that are my taste, and they're sort of personally my taste, and the catalogue is massive, and it just seems like a natural choice for me, considering I've recently, in the last video, counted, or the last section, counted some of my games, and sort of the vast majority of games I have are for sort of PS1 and PS2, so it seems sort of natural. I wouldn't be able to take them all with me though. I'd have to, don't know, I'd have to get some sort of I'd have to chip it and get some sort of dodgy emulation, I think. Who's your favourite unlockable character in Final Fantasy VIII? Well, this is a tough one for me, because I think out of all the Final Fantasy games, Final Fantasy VIII is my least favourite. It just seems a bit of a letdown after 7. I mean, that's probably I think the initial disappointment, having been so blown away by 7, has probably coloured my judgment slightly. But I mean, don't get me wrong, I do really enjoy it. It's just that initial disappointment has sort of stayed with me. But I've always, some of the characters, I don't know, they're a bit too, they try too hard to fulfill a certain role, a stereotype. And I like that the two characters just sort of randomly pop out of nowhere in the flashbacks. Like, is it Laguna and what's it called? Kiros. Is it Laguna and Kiros? And there's another one as well. I think that's, yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's just the fact that they sort of popped out of nowhere, and sorry, there's a geezer lurking around outside, and he's distracting me. But I'd have to say those two. I mean, unlockable characters aren't. They're not strictly unlockable, are they? They just sort of pop up, and you naturally have to play them, don't you? Well, I'd have to say those two. There's 3, aren't there? There's 3 characters that you play as in the flashback. So I'd have to say those 3 or 2. It's been, forgive me, it's been a while since I played the game. But yeah, there you go. Because Squall's a bit of an idiot, and his mate, what's his name? Zell and Sifa, and you know, they're a bit. Sifa's the villain, or the initial villain, but I don't know. Squall and Zell, and they're a bit. Oh, there's the guy with the. He's sort of like the Vincent Valentine character. He's like sort of the gunslinger. He's okay, but sort of like the the standard characters. They don't do it for me, I'm afraid. Sorry about that. Bit of a downer. What's your favourite takeaway place? Well, recently I went out with my mate's birthday, and we went to Brick Lane, and we had a curry, and it was lovely. It was what did I have? It was my favourite takeaway place. It'd have to be that one, because I've had bad curries before, and I've forgotten the name of the restaurant, but it was a restaurant on Brick Lane. And it was lovely. It was one of the nicest ones I've ever had. So I couldn't say the name of the place, unfortunately, but I reckon Brick Lane in general, you're going to get a pretty decent standard of curry. So anywhere in Brick Lane, I'd say. So keep up videos, a lot of your rambling stories. Cheers, dude. I'm glad someone does. So thanks for the questions, mate. Right, who's next? Super Monkey Boy 92. Favourite system of all time and why? Although I sort of answered it in the last one. It's got to be the PS1, PS1, I'll go with the PS2. No, actually no. To be honest, I'll say the PS1, because I won't use the backwards compatibility get out this time. I'll stick by my guns and say the PS1, because it was sort of, I had it. It sort of opened up. It was at the point where gaming opened up to a sort of wider audience. I mean, before the PS1, the gaming audience was basically sort of teenage boys, wasn't it? To a certain, sort of to mid-20s. But the PS1 opened up the audience, sort of, it became a wider audience, and then obviously the subsequent systems of it's spread even wider, and obviously now with the Wii, everyone's playing video games, aren't they? But I think so in that sense, it's not always a good thing, but it means there were more people making video games, and there was a greater choice, I suppose. It sort of refined the process. I mean, it sort of watered down the creativity at the same time. So there were less sort of top quality titles per 100 games. than there would have been on sort of the older systems. But it was sort of that was sort of my peak of gaming. I think it was when gaming was for me, and it was sort of naive at the same time, and or the system, it was still naive. There was still enough naivety. That's my sort of point before it became too cynical, because it's way too cynical now for me, I think. But excuse me. So I'd have to say the PS1, because obviously it's got a lot of my favourite games, and it's a massive range, and they all seem rough enough to the point where they're they have charm. It's sort of like a rough sort of charm, you know. PS2 equivalent games, they became slightly too slick, and the power of the system meant that they didn't have to try so hard to get something out of the machine. Does that make sense? I don't know. So thanks a lot to Super Monkey Boy 92 for questions. Otako Densetsu, thanks for the comment, but to be honest, mate, you did fox me, because I appreciate the comment, but it's sort of not question and not really related to the video. I don't know if you'd seen another video, someone else's video, and somehow got confused and then commented for their video on my video. But either way, I appreciate it. You're talking about Microsoft's future and their market share. But it's a well constructed argument, I'll give you that. But it did, to be honest, it did confuse me. But I appreciate it anyway, mate. Thanks for taking the time to watch. Toe Jam Manel 1983. Hey mates, is there one game on your list that keeps eluding you? Yeah. Wow. A lot, actually. I mean, that's my problem. I think I spread my nets too wide, and so because I've got certain, I don't concentrate on one machine specifically, and so I've got, it's sort of like a scattergun approach. I identify certain games that I like, and which means I've got on lots of different systems, which means I've got a greater chance of hitting a target, finding something that I like. So which means there are, subsequently there are more games that I keep sort of missing out on. Oh, that was it. Yeah, I bid on a game called Rapid Reload on the PS1 just last week, a few days ago actually, and I barely heard of it. It's called Gunner's Heaven. Gunner's Heaven on the Japanese PS1. I mean, I barely heard of it, but I remember the odd people doing some gameplay videos, and it looks like a cross between Gunstar Heroes and Metal Slug, and just totally my sort of game. But the sort of game I've forgotten about. I vaguely remember seeing it in the shops when PS1 was the system, and it's a brilliant game, but you so rarely see it on eBay, to the point when people don't know how much to charge for it or how much to bid for it when it does come up. And I've been watching this copy of this game, and I was quite relaxed about bidding, because I didn't expect to win it at all. But I put in a decent bid, and I was winning, with a few seconds to go, and I was winning when when the timer went down to 0 seconds. I thought, well, that means I've won, surely. But then it sort of paused, the system paused, because there had been people bidding, you know, they do the last second bidding thing. But the system paused, and it like spluttered a bit, and then reset itself, and all of a sudden it said I hadn't won, but my name, I was still the highest bidder when the timer reached 0. And someone had literally got a bid in the last second, and I ended up losing by £1. Was it 50p? And it's so frustrating. It's just, I'm surely that's against the rules, but But yeah, rapid reload. That's about the closest I've come to getting a game, to buying a game and not being just some bastard out. Just he must have been typing furiously and clicking the button, hoping his system updated in time before the auction ran down. But that was irritating. If you could meet one living celebrity, who would it be? One living celebrity. I'd get. I don't know. I to be honest, I do tend to see randomly. I couldn't say why. I do tend to see people randomly in the streets, like famous people randomly in the streets. So I live vaguely close to where a lot of North London footballers live. It's totally suburban, but maybe a few miles away from where I live. There's some big houses, and I run past. I run quite close to their houses, and there's a cafe, a popular cafe near there, and always see Robbie Keane sitting outside. And I'm sure I heard on one occasion I heard him slagging off Harry Redknapp, or it might have been Avram Grant. He was definitely slagging off one of his managers to his mates. But I'd have to say someone like Paul Whitehouse. Although I don't think Paul Whitehouse is the sort of person that would like people to like fans. I'd be a bit sort of uncomfortable. The fact that I'd make sort of someone I admire uncomfortable. But if that wasn't a factor, I'd say someone like Paul Whitehouse or Rich Hall. You know, I suppose then they'd feel pressured to be funny. Larry David, there you go. Larry David, I'll go with that because he's got previous. If you see one of his episodes of Curb Your Enthusiasm, there's a specific joke about meeting one of his fans. He's been put up for a charity have lunch with Larry David, and he doesn't want to go. It's really funny. So I'd have to say Larry David because he's one of my favourite comedians. Number 3, best hangover cure. Well, I do have a bona fide hangover cure, but it's more for the it's not a quick fix. I mean, it's none of this hair of the dog stuff. It's hair of the dog. It's just delaying the inevitable. You get like a certain hit of relief from a hangover, but it's basically just another hit of alcohol, isn't it? So you want to disregard that. But my hangover cure, it takes a while, but it does work. Start off, you have a nice, forgive me for saying it being this graphic, you have a nice relaxing poo. It's the first thing you do. You get up in the morning, having not slept very well, because no one sleeps well when they've had a drink, and you evacuate your bowels. Just take as long as you like. Just sit back, read a book, you know. Get it out of your system, so you feel sort of comfortable and relaxed. And then I drink as much water as I can. So it's really boring. It's not a great hangover cure. I drink as much water as I can. Although probably better than that is something like Gatorade, because it has the salt. Because you want to replace the salt in your system. Because I played five-a-side football once. For some weird reason, we had the pitch for 2 hours solid, and we just played for 2 hours solid, and it was height of the summer, it was boiling hot, and by the end of these 2 hours, we were all absolutely battered and lost a load of, like, sweated so much, and then so for that evening and the next day, I felt like I was hungover, so that's pretty much, I felt like I had a, pardon me, I felt like I had a hangover. So in other words, all I need to do is replace the fluids. So you have a poo in the morning, get up in the morning, relieve yourself, drink lots of water, or if you've got it handy, Gatorade, but water as well. Drink as much water as you can. I always like a packet of ready salted crisps, or any sort of salty food, but a packet of ready salted crisps, because you have to replace the salt. And that you can feel that working almost straight away, actually. And then, as Vincent Noir would say, from the Mighty Boosh, then you go and have a nice sleepy. So there you go. And that's the process. Relieve yourself, and drink lots of water or Gatorade. Lots of salty food, and then go and have a sleep. Go and have a nice kip. And it works. Eventually. There we go. So thanks to ToeJamManel 1983. It's a good set of questions, those.